Good evening. It's probably not the evening when you're watching this, but I took a gamble. It's the evening for me, so fingers crossed it might be evening for you as well. And this video is brought to you by another horrendous outfit. These are some navy M&S polka dot synthetic pajama trousers that ripped on first wear, and they now have a nice little hand-stitched seam by me. And this faded Nirvana t-shirt, which I probably bought at Topshop or Urban Outfitters back when I was a teen and thought I was an interesting person. No, I was grossly mistaken. And you might be able to tell what kind of video this is, probably from the title, but also by the not so subtle stack of books just sitting here. It is a book haul. And you don't have to have the best memory in the world to remember that I just did a book haul literally mere weeks ago. I did a book haul, and in that book haul I complained about the fact that I was doing a book haul, and yet here we are. Let's just get into it, shall we? And I'm going to start with the least offensive one. Not offensive in terms of content, I mean offensive in terms of I shouldn't be having books, but this one was a gift, so therefore it's not offensive. What am I talking about? I swear to God. But this is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, and it was gifted to me by my wonderful friend Becca in our overdue Christmas box, and I still need to send hers, but COVID, the post office, it's been a whole thing, so she'll be getting her Christmas box just in time for summer. It's fine. And I hadn't heard of this book before I opened my gift box, but I've seen actually since then a few videos on booktube, mostly American booktubers, talking about this book, and I sort of know that it's family dynamics, and I think there is like an adoption element. So the inside cover says, being the middle child has its ups and downs, but for Grace, an only child who was adopted at birth, discovering that she is a middle child is a different ride altogether. After getting pregnant at 16 and putting her own baby up for adoption, she goes looking for her biological family and finds an older brother and younger sister. But she struggles to find the balance between her cautious joy at discovering two brand new family members and the gaping loneliness that lingers in the space her daughter once held. Interesting. There's actually a bit more there, like it's quite a long blurb, if you like, but I think that's sort of all I need to know. I don't want to know too much going in. So from that, obviously family is a core theme of the book, adoption and what family means, like it's more than just being related to someone. Family can be found family, and it also sounds like it has a strong focus on sibling bonds, and as I am an only child, I love reading about siblings, I love reading about sibling bonds. It's one of the things that I go to, it's one of my buzzwords for books. The only thing that I'm slightly not concerned about, but the only thing that made me like a little bit was just the whole regretting giving her daughter up for adoption. Obviously I know that happens sometimes and these things are very complicated, but I am a little bit wary about fiction or stories that sort of highlight adoption or giving your child away as some sort of regrettable sin, because one, not all women want or should have children, and yeah, it's a very complex issue, but one that I think is dealt with well in this book, as I've seen a lot of praise for it, and also this it was the National Book Award winner, so hopefully that means that the topics are handled in a very sensitive and intelligent way. But I'm very much looking forward to reading this, and I will let you know what I think. And that was the only gift, so the rest of them I only have myself to blame. Oh, okay, not gonna lie, I don't feel that bad about this one because I bought it, but not for me, but it is for me. I'll explain. So this is Her Body and Other Parties by Carmen Maria Machado, and this is now cropping up on booktube a fair bit, but when I first heard of it, me and B were in the bookshop browsing, as you do, and we picked it up and we were looking through it, and I said to her, oh, like this sounds really interesting, female-centered stories, short story anthologies, and sort of about the body and, you know, feminism. And if you've seen the kind of books that we're reading for our Briar's Book Club, if you've come to the live show discussion that we did for Cat's Eye, you know that we're all about that feminist lit, and we're all about like centering women, we're all about those kind of stories. And so I wanted to buy this for B for her birthday, because I remembered that we talked about it and we'd seen it in the shop, and I bought it for her, ordered it, it arrived at my house, I got ready to wrap it for her birthday, and then I suddenly just thought, hang on, did she buy it in the shop? And then I messaged her, not so subtly, but she didn't get it, so it was fine. But I messaged her being like, oh, did you end up buying that, like, Her Body and Other Parties book, the green one? Because, like, I think my mum's really interested in it, and I just wondered if you had it. And then she messaged back being like, oh yeah, I bought it. I was like, shit! And so then instead I ordered her The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is one of my favourite books I've read this year and also just ever. It holds a very special place in my heart. So it kind of worked out in the end because I really want to hear Bee's opinion on Addie LaRue, and it means that I get to keep this wonderful copy, and I really hope that I like it because obviously why would I want to not like it? I'm so tired, I'm sorry. But yes, the back says a prize-winning, genre-bending collection of short stories that has already reached, oh my god, I can't read, that has already achieved cult status. Her Body and Other Parties is a unique, unsettling, and totally original. Carmen Maria Machado demolishes the borders between magical realism and science fiction, comedy and horror, fantasy and fabulism. Bodies become inconsequential, humans become monstrous, and anger becomes erotic. A dark, shimmering slice into womanhood, Her Body and Other Parties is wicked and exquisite. See, I like that because it piqued my interest, it got me excited to read it, and I still know absolutely nothing about the plot elements of the story, so I'm very excited to dive into this one, and I will let you know what I think. And the next purchase I had to justify because I remember seeing this months ago. I think it was before Christmas or in like the lead up to Christmas. I saw it in the bookshop and I knew that I couldn't buy it because I'd been spending a lot of money on Christmas presents for friends, you know, as is the case at Christmas, and I knew I couldn't really afford to get it for myself. So I took a picture of it on my iPhone because I wanted to remember what it was called and because I'd had a flick through and I really liked the parts that I read. And then that photo just got lost in the camera roll. I couldn't be bothered to go looking for it. I just hoped and hoped that I would stumble upon it one day, you know, by chance, by serendipity, that it would find me. And it did. I was in the bookshop the other day and I saw it and I remembered, oh my god, that's the one that I want to read that. And I couldn't risk losing track of it again, so I had to buy it. I'm so stupid. You could have just taken another picture, but no, my brain went, you have to buy it, otherwise it will cease to exist and you'll never find it again. But this book is It's Hard to Be Hip Over 30 by Judith Viorst. And I believe it's a poetry collection. It looks like a poetry collection, but it's not really described as one because there's not a lot of like information on the inside. It's just quite minimal, as Persephone book editions tend to be. But I think, yeah, the little blurb is just like an example of one of the poems, and it says, the honeymoon is over and he has left for work, whistling something obvious from La Boheme and carrying a brown calfskin attaché case I never dreamed he was capable of owning. Having started the day with 10 push-ups and a cold shower, followed by a hearty breakfast, the honeymoon is over, and we find that dining by candlelight makes us squint, and that all the time I was letting him borrow my comb and hang up his wet raincoat in my closet, I was really waiting to stop letting him, and that all the time he was saying how he loved my chicken pot pie, he was really waiting to stop eating it. I guess they call this getting to know each other. So from that, and also from the other sections of the book that I flipped through, it's basically about getting older and getting past the sort of honeymoon stage of your life where like the excitement of meeting the one and getting married and buying a house and having kids, if that's what you choose to do, once all the excitement of that beginning is sort of over and it becomes a little bit more mundane. It's, I think, about that, but it doesn't really tell me a lot of detail. It just has a little bio in the back of the author, and it said that Judith Viorst, daughter of a passionate reader and an accountant, read history at Rutgers University from 1948 to 52. Her first poems are about a nice Jewish girl from New Jersey trying to live a wicked life in Greenwich Village. So when I read that, obviously, you know I'm obsessed with New York, and I love Fran Lebowitz, who's also a prominent Jewish writer, so I feel like this was meant to find me, and I just couldn't pass it up, and I've been meaning to read more poetry, just in general in life, and so And speaking of poetry, we have Poems to Live Your Life by chosen and illustrated by Chris Riedel, and if you've been on the channel for a while you will know that I own the two other editions in this collection. So the ones that I already own are Poems to Fall in Love With and Poems to Save the World With, I believe, and I really enjoyed those. And because I enjoyed those, I wanted to get this obviously other one in the kind of matching hardback so I could have them all and display them nice and neatly. But having had a flick through, I was a teensy bit disappointed when I looked at the contents, because I think this was the one that was published first. So the list of poets and the poems that are in it are quite basic and well known, and I think in the other two editions that came after, the ones that I've already, you know, got and read, they branched out a little bit more in including like lesser known work and lesser known poets, and I really enjoyed those books because I could discover new poems I hadn't read before. And when I looked at the contents for this one, it was titles that I was pretty familiar with, so I was a little bit disappointed. It's weird to say because I have not read it yet, but I do feel like I just sort of bought this to like fill a gap on my shelf rather than because I think I'll love reading it, which is a little bit annoying. But I am happy to, you know, own each of these collections, and hopefully Chris Riddle will come out with more because I really do love the illustrations in them. That's also like another part of wanting to have the book, is the beautiful illustrations. So hopefully it's not too disappointing, but I definitely think that the two ones that come after this that I already own are sort of more valuable in terms of finding new writers and like new work. The next one is a pre-order, so like, can I be blamed? And it's Malibu Rising, which I pre-ordered like as soon as I knew it existed, and it's Taylor Jenkins Reid's new book, and she's obviously the author of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, both of which I inhaled and adored. So my excitement for this book, it actually arrived today as I'm filming it, and honestly the sexual tension between me and just stopping absolutely everything to sit and read this book. I can't though, because I'm going to Bournemouth tomorrow and it's like my first like outing in a very long time. I've had both my jabs, so it'll be safe, hopefully, but you know, a little bit anxious, and I have to pack everything, so I can't just sit and read this, but you know. And I won't lie to you, I don't know what this is about. It's called Malibu Rising, so I'm guessing it's set in Malibu, beachy. I know it's set in the 80s, and that's literally, I don't need to know anything else. It's Taylor Jenkins Reid. I know that it will have the vibes, it will be written well, and I will inhale it in a matter of hours. And it's just such a gorgeous object. Like, this cover is beautiful. It's just beautiful. And the end papers are gorgeous. I'm going to do a close-up because it's just so sexy. And then the pale baby blue of underneath. Honestly, just stunning. I'm already in love with her, and I've not even read it. I've not even opened it, but I'm in love. I'm in love. The next purchase I have to talk to you about is Queens of the Crusades by Alison Weir, who is an author that I've heard a little bit about because she does a lot of sort of historical fiction but also historical non-fiction, and she is sort of the go-to for like readability and accessibility and just enjoyability. I've heard a lot of praise for her work, and I've never read any of it, and I've sort of basically since being subscribed to Charlotte, the wonderful Charlotte over at Queenie Reads, I have really wanted to branch out into more historical fiction and non-fiction, because history was one of my favourite subjects at school. I did it at A level, got an A. It was one of my best marks, despite the fact that I went on to do degrees in other things, but I did well in history. I loved history, and it just makes me sad that, like, you know, we only studied very small sections of history and there's so much that I don't know, and I don't know why that my learning of like the world and its history should stop at like 18. That's just really stupid. So I want to read more historical non-fiction, and when I passed my local second-hand bookshop and this beautiful hardback was just sitting pretty in the window, couldn't help myself. Also, it was like the day that they'd reopened, and I had sat outside the secondhand bookshop because there's a nice little sort of bench there. Me and my mum, and also me and my friend B, we go and sit there and have our ice cream when the weather is nice, because it's just like a nice little place to sit. And I look into the bookshop, and when it was shut I would look longingly inside all of the books. And then I was there, and it was like the first day it reopened, and I thought, I gotta support the local bookshop, the local second-hand bookshop. Maybe they don't get a lot of custom. And when I bought this, you know, it's a fairly old-fashioned little shop that's independently run, and the woman like wrote it down in a big like ledger in a big book, and like wrote down how much it was, and it just gave me the vibes. So very pleased that I bought this, and I hope that it lives up to its expectation. I hope I'm not too dumb for it, because it's not a genre that I reach for a lot, but I really want to read more of it, and I'm excited. And the last purchase smells a bit musty, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I don't know if you're getting lots of glare because it's covered in plastic. I was just on eBay staring longingly at the Folio Society edition of The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter, which, as you know, is my favourite book. And I love the Folio Society, and I don't own any of the Folio Society editions because I'm broke. Well, you wouldn't know that I was broke because of all the book hauls that I do, but let me assure you, I am broke. So I was just on eBay staring longingly at the, you know, Bloody Chamber edition, because obviously they don't have it on their official site anymore. You can't buy it from them. It's like, you have to get it secondhand at extortionate prices that I can't afford. But then I stumbled upon this when I was just typing Angela Carter hardback into eBay, and it is like a children's picture book of fairy tales that were chosen and translated by Angela Carter, and it had like 2 pictures of it on there, so I had no idea what I was buying, to be honest, but it was fairly cheap and I sort of was interested in it, and I just wanted to own it. And it is just that. It is like a sort of children's picture book with pretty illustrations, and you know, they're written and translated by Angela Carter, who is a wonderful writer. And I've obviously read The Bloody Chamber, which is her very adult fairy tale, so I'd be interested to see how she writes those sort of same stories with those same themes for children. Obviously not the exact same themes, but similar sort of ballpark, and how she sort of adapts those for a younger audience. And it has been pre-owned. Obviously I got it on eBay, so it does smell a bit musty, but I am nonetheless excited to get to it sometime soon and give it a read. Because I rave about The Bloody Chamber all the time, and it's just a little bit ridiculous that that's the only Angela Carter thing that I've read, considering how much I love it. Like, why have I not just read her other stuff? It's stupid. So yeah, this is an attempt to change that. So that is all the buffoonery that I have for you today. I didn't do too much damage, but I really have to be straight with myself now, because the pile, we all know about the pile of TBR books that threaten my life every single day. We all know about the pile. The pile cannot get any bigger, and it is getting bigger. So no more. None. Nada. It's done. No. I think I have 2 books from Waterstones on pre-order. One of them is the new Sally Rooney, so that's coming in September, so that's not even September, isn't it, like October, November? One of those months. September, October, or November. It's a while away. And the other one, I don't know. But I only have 2 on pre-order, so that's fine, and I think they're fairly far away pre-orders, so I don't need to feel too bad about that, as long as I don't do any damage between now and then. Thank you so much for watching this video, and as usual, let me know if you have read any of the books that I hauled today. I would love to talk to you about them in the comments, and I will see you soon with another video soon. Bye.